私に温かさを教えてくれた大切な人ですから。だから何が起ころうと、私は自分の意志で手に入れた普通を。私はあなたの前から。
少しはユキさんの役に立ちたいじゃん。
Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem, back with another review and analysis for Kimi Wa Meido Sama, Episode 5, brought to you by Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends, and in this episode we get the first face-off against Yuki and Grace, the mysterious Neko-chan assassin who has come to either kill Yuki, steal away Hitiyoshi's heart, or do both. Now, this episode is very important because this is where Yuki's mindset as an assassin trying to become a normal girl becomes firmly solidified, as she has to reconcile the world and the life that she wants to have with the world and the life that she's just come from, and that persists in trying to drag her back in. As Grace says, she's only the first of many, and as the series plays out, we are going to see that that is very true. So, what will Yuki decide? She's going to decide that she's going to stick by Hitiyoshi's side and do her best to be a normal girl who wields knives, fights off assassins, and protects the people and the things that she loves most, all while drinking in that delicious katsuya sauce. Oh, it's going to be so amazing and delicious. And that is what is kicked off here with the events of this episode. So as we get into Grace's mindset, she wants to live the life of luxury, be a top dog assassin. And one of the ways that she can do that is by killing one of the Dragon Clan's 9 best assassins. And Yuki, number 4, the Silver Fang Fox, has to be brought down if she wishes to have this amazing life out there in the tropical island, surrounded by muscular men and loads of cash raining down from the sky. So, in order to do this, she must lure Yuki into a trap, and she is going to use Hitoyoshi as the bait. Well, Yuki already knows that this is probably what's going to happen, so she is sticking to Hitoyoshi, much to his chagrin, but also much to his teenage heart's delight, though he gets really awkward as they are lying together in bed because Yuki refuses to let him out of her sight or out of her touch. And I just want to say, who has a blanket that small when you're going to go to bed? Well, unfortunately for Yuki, Grace has been doing her homework and realizes that the katsuya sauce is going to do absolute wonders to distract her, and puts it just outside her window. Oh, as Yuki goes looking and senses the sauce, Grace comes in, swoops up Hitoyoshi, threatens to dismember him or kill him if Yuki dares to make any sort of move, and here we have Shuei come out in full force, terrifying Grace. So Grace is like, well, if you don't want me to hurt this boy, I'm willing to accept that I might die in this situation, but then you will have to live forever with the girlish regrets that you led to the death or dismemberment of this boy that you like so much. So there, I'm going to quickly run on over to where I have my trap over at the high school, because obviously the high school is a perfect place to launch an attack from. Now then, something I need to say as far as like this general setup goes, this is actually toned way down from the manga, where it goes like full on binding stuff. Yes, we get a little bit of Grace's kinks coming out in the manga in this particular setup. The anime's definitely dialed things back. Yuki shows up, Grace has got her traps ready to go, Hitoyoshi completely trusts that Yuki will be able to save him, and she does, flinging out knives faster than bullets, go Yuki, charging over bombs, go Yuki, there's way more of them in the manga, but never mind that, and then confronting Grace directly, destroying her smartphone with one of her knives, and then saving Hitoyoshi, but letting Grace live. And as Grace is like, why are you doing this? It's again because Yuki wants to be a normal girl. Even though she's at this point accepted that there is a possibility that she might just leave Hitoyoshi so that way he's no longer in danger, she doesn't want to kill anymore, at least while she is in the employ and service and presence of Hitoyoshi. To which then, after she has saved him, he's like, look, I want you to stay with me. And I want you to help train me. Help me to become a better fighter because it's my pride as a man, but also because I want you to stick around. I don't want you to go away. So there's now a door open for Yuki's dream to be fulfilled. And she takes it. And now Grace is like, oh, this is really interesting. Let's see where this goes. And oh boy, are we definitely going to see where this goes. Now, after having watched this episode, I kind of need to go back and reevaluate some of my criticisms of the previous episodes. While I'm still not okay with some of the deviations that they've made from the manga, just because it really helps to establish the darker background that looms over Yuki and Hitoyoshi, after watching how this episode played out, and seeing how they really reduced the amount of action, and really relied on some nice little tricks of animation and of camera movement to really help to convey more action than what was actually happening, it's made me realize, aha, okay then, as I kind of suspected a little ways on back, despite the gorgeousness of the first episode, this is an anime that is definitely working on a far lower budget than some of the big heavy hitters like Dandadan. And since Kimi Wa Meido Sama is then working on a lower budget, this means that the creative team from the get-go has done the right thing by sitting down and saying, okay, look, this is the main story, this is what we need to communicate, and this is the budget that we have. What needs to be changed in order for us to communicate the main points of the story, make sure that we hit all the right beats, and that the characters are the way that they're supposed to be, while still sticking within the parameters of our budget. The restrictions that we have on us because there's no extra money coming on in. We don't have Disney or Netflix deciding to write to us another $100 million because we need it. Oh no, we've got to work with what little budget we have. This then means that, yeah, a lot of the bigger action moments, a lot of the more darker moments that have some really intense things happening, with extra people on the scene, with more action happening, with more dialogue, does have to be cut because they just do not have the budget to capture all of that. That is just a reality of animation and of production. So understanding that, I can say, all right, I see what you're doing with this adaptation, and I'm okay with it. Because when I understand the limitations I'm seeing here on the screen, and understanding where the budget is, and everything else, I can then agree with the chopping that's been done. If you wish to understand more of these characters, and of the intensity of these scenes, and the background, you definitely need to go and read the manga. That will give you all of the context that you need, and it definitely is way more intense. But at the heart of this episode is the fact that Yuki decides that she will remain with Hitoyoshi, and that she does want to still be a normal girl, but that her definition of normal has to be altered from that of Hitoyoshi's or his sister's, because she does come from this dark assassin's background, and she has to adapt to it. Now, we also get some fantastic world building happening in this episode, as we learned that, of course, there's multiple assassin organizations, and then there's freelance assassins, but then there's also this clan of the 9 Dragon Fangs that are really, really dangerous, really top tier. Yuki's number 4, and we see that coming through in this episode. Even with just mere words in her presence, she can intimidate other people. She can throw knives faster than bullets. Her aim is just phenomenal. But there are other assassins on the same level as her and even beyond her. And these are the people who at some point are going to come back into her life and either try to pull her back in or execute her. Because as Grace has said, you just don't get to walk away from this kind of life. The dies have been cast. Yuki has made her decision, and now, in the future, she will have to fight for it. And what's great to see is that Hitoyoshi is saying, I'm going to be here for you. And I really like how the legwork has already been put in to make this just feel way more natural. Now that we've seen quite a bit of just how much Hitoyoshi likes Yuki, and that, yes, it is a little bit of a forced setup from the beginning, but as we have seen the payoff, as we've seen the character development and the relationship development, already by episode 5, this kind of a declaration, which you would normally expect to really mean something at the end of the season, and at this point it's just the dense protagonist being like, well, I can't let other people have a hard time because I'm just such a good guy. Here it makes just a little bit more sense. And another thing that I really do like about this episode is that even though I've already acknowledged that the fight is pared down because of the limitations of the show's budget, the fight still makes sense within the parameters of the story, within the budget, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It does everything that it needs to do. And this is something that people, for instance, such as myself, who love big fight sequences, need to take to heart. That you don't always need some massive big brawl to communicate important elements of character to help move the plot along or to have a big twist or a big reveal. You can have all of that in a nice, straightforward, easy fight. So if there's any writing advice that we should take out of this episode, it is this. Number one, you don't need to have a ton of action to communicate a whole lot. Keep a fight to what it needs to be. Secondly, characterization is very important. A story lives or dies by its characters. And making sure that you put in the heavy lifting early on in your story means that you can actually do a whole lot more with your characters, and you don't have to go back and retroactively make sense of who your characters are. I know that this is something that happens in so many stories by now that we think, oh, this is just natural, but really it isn't, because you want people to really get to know your characters very early on, so that way you can actually do some really fun and intense things with them, with the situations that you put them in, with the things that you end up actually revealing, with the conversations you have, the relationships that you develop. If you're spending more time in your future chapters and episodes trying to retroactively make sense of things that they did back in the first few chapters or episodes, you're wasting valuable time. Then also this, and this is for anyone who's looking to do some big projects. Understand your budgets, understand your limitations, understand your time constraints. And this is something that a lot of people look at and say, oh my gosh, I only have so much money. Oh my gosh, I only have so much time. Oh my gosh, I only have so many pages. What am I going to do? Think of these limitations as opportunities to do something creative, to learn, to become inventive. Some of the best writing I've ever done has been when I've put massive restrictions on myself in terms of word count. That is where some of my best writing has come out. So understand your limitations and then make those limitations become inventive moments and chances to do something really cool. Limitations are opportunities. So, with all that being said, I hope that you've really enjoyed this episode of Kimi Wa Meido Sama. The story is going to go back into some silly shenanigans after this point. And again, if you really want to get into the darker aspect of the story, go read the manga. It is fantastic. And I like how the manga, and as we're probably going to see here in the anime, breaks up the darker moments with these long stretches of levity, of rom-com goodness, of seeing Yuki become the person that she wants to be. Because honestly, that's what this story is all about. And it blends fantastically this clash of different worlds. And I'm hoping that the anime can really communicate that, because if it can, then we're in for some great character building moments and just some great moments of humor and heart. So with all that being said, if you're looking for more reviews, analyses, recommendations, and the likes, then please check out our other videos here on our channel. And if you'd like to support the work that we do, then please check out the books that we have published. Links for all of them are in the description below. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.